What's going on, everybody? My name is Joel Brown, and welcome to Brown Sports Report. And today I would like to introduce to you a new segment that I would like to call On the Daily. On the Daily is a series where every single day we will be discussing topics and news revolving around everything sports and just whatever's going on in the sports world at the moment. If you like today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know your opinion on it. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. So really the biggest thing that's happening in the sports world right now, I would say, is the James Harden Daryl Morey situation, if you'll call it that. And if you're not too familiar with the situation, a few days ago a video has surfaced of James Harden out in Daryl Morey and claiming that he is a liar and saying that he will never play for any organization that Daryl Morey is a part of. And if you're familiar with their history they have together, this comes as a big surprise, being as most thought that Daryl Morey and James Harden were thick and thin when it came to the connection they had. Because if you aren't too familiar with their relationship back in 2012, when James Harden couldn't be paid by the Oklahoma City Thunder, Daryl Morey traded for him and bet the house on James Harden and put all his future and assets into James Harden, basically saying, hey, I'm investing in this guy right here. He's going to change the course of this franchise and my career. And he did that. James Harden, as we would know, would go on to be one of the greatest offensive players in a Houston Rockets uniform and winning an MVP, multiple playoff appearances, and just becoming, all NBA level player. And then in the 2021 season, James Harden would request to be traded, in which he would be traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And after a year and a half, we all know how the Brooklyn Nets situation went down, and James Harden requested another trade. And during that period, most teams were hesitant on whether they were willing to trade James Harden, and a lot of questions started to arise around James Harden's, his drive, is he's ready and willing to, really put the team forth and do what's needed as a leader on the team and stick it out and not quit on the team, as some would say. But then James Harden would then be traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, in which a trade that Daryl Morey made happen. He went, picked up his old buddy, and they decided to run it back within a different uniform. But as we know, that the past two seasons have been pretty rough failures in terms of what we think the Philadelphia 76ers are capable of. And this is where things start to get a little wary. In last year's offseason, James Harden would decline his player option but re-sign with the team on a 1-and-1 deal by taking a $15 million pay cut and only having a 2-year deal with a player option on the last year. And that pay cut is really where, in my opinion, this whole thing starts to arise from. Because if you don't know, there's a couple reasons why a player might take a pay cut. One is because he's doing it for the best interest of the team. He's putting the team first and saying, hey, I want to get more help. I want to help the team. I want the team to help me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take less money so we can have more money to spend on other players. And secondly, another reason why they would take a pay cut is because they've been, promised or been told that they will be taken care of on the back end. And as we all know, promises when you're dealing with money and businesses can become real, needle-like treading. That's where, in my opinion, that's where things start to get wary, and that's where this whole thing revolves around from. As we know, this last postseason, James Harden had a pretty underwhelming playoffs, and, he just underperformed. And even though he underperformed, James Harden, in my opinion, was going into this offseason ready to talk a contract extension, which would be a long-term one and an expensive one, because I'm pretty sure that what he was told when he took that pay cut, when he took the $15 million pay cut. But Daryl Morey, I'm sure it was like, okay, you're not the same player you was in your Houston days. You still haven't been able to perform and shine in the playoffs when needed, and I don't know if I'm willing to put that much money into you long term, and I don't know if it's worth the risk, extending you. And I think that's where James Harden got upset, and this is where everything has risen from, requesting a trade, that video surfacing, Philadelphia saying that they will not trade him. It's a pretty sticky situation, and things are going to get pretty interesting between the two. But regarding this isn't the most important thing about this, in my opinion. Because the most important thing about all of this, in my opinion, which this is truly going to revolve around, is none other than the reigning NBA MVP, Joel Embiid. And I'm sure you might be thinking, why Joel Embiid? What does he have to do with this? Well, look at it like this. If I'm Joel Embiid, I'm the best player on the team. I'm just coming off winning an MVP. And I want to maximize my championship window as quickly as possible and take advantage of it because, a championship window is relatively short and you want to capitalize on it when you have the chance and the ability. So if you're Joel Embiid, you're probably like, hey, this isn't good for me because my co-star is unhappy, and right now the situation with my co-star and who's my co-star is going to be is not definitive. And when it's not definitive, that hurts Joel Embiid because he's not able to have that security as, okay, I have a sure number two who can back me up as the best player on the team and, arguably in the league, whatever you want to say. So I would not be surprised if you started to see Joel Embiid, make some moves behind the scenes. And by making moves, I'm not saying that he doesn't want to be in Philadelphia and that he's going to be requesting a trade or anything, but he's going to be doing little moves to force Philadelphia to make a definitive decision because if you're Joel Embiid, you only want two things right now. One, you want them to hurry up and sign James Harden. Whatever it is, you want him to hurry up and sign him so he can be your co-star again and you have a short number two and you can run it back because, relatively y'all had a good season, but y'all just failed expectations. Or the second option, which is you want to hurry up and get him traded because you don't want an unhappy co-star who's on your team, who's not going to be on your team the following year, and after letting him go in free agency, you're not pretty too sure on who's going to be your number two. You don't have that security. So I would not be surprised if you start to see little moves. Well, if you start to see Philadelphia make some moves, and I would be willing to bet that that's because Joel Embiid and his team were, pushing the needle a little bit and forcing Philadelphia to make a definitive decision. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see just how everything plays out with this whole situation and, going forward if Philadelphia can get it together and make something out of it. But that's that for today's episode of On the Daily. Not much is happening around the sports world right now. Not too much to where, I can make a video on it or I can include in this video. But as we go on and on, I'll be sure to, upgrade production, upgrade the quality, upgrade, just everything surrounding this series and, the brand, Brown Sports Report. So, don't forget to like and subscribe and, do what you got to do. And thanks for watching.